Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery. It was called Rosetta. Basically, it was a big nothing burger, you guys. Starts off with the captain's log. Michael says that she thinks that the dead planet they're orbiting on the other side of the galaxy was once the homeworld of 10C. Lorca and Book devise a plan to somehow get aboard Discovery and install a patch on the ship so that they can attach Book's ship to the hull of Discovery without Zor realizing it right away. But apparently they think she won't notice an intruder on the ship when they beam in to accomplish this. Never mind how the heck are they going to get on the ship, because why wouldn't the shields be up? They're in unknown territory, about to approach a species that for all they know is hostile and which they know is very powerful, but the shields aren't up. Michael and Saru and the Doctor and Detmer land a shuttle on the planet and then get off the shuttle, and they can't tell whether there's any life around. And Saru seems to perceive that they're under attack when they don't actually appear to be. The Doctor then seems to believe that a giant object on the surface is part of a bone. So something very, very big was there at some point based on this. Book and Tarka somehow beam aboard Discovery, seemingly through the shields. And of course, the computer doesn't sense that there are intruders on the ship. Saru then tells the captain that although he hasn't felt it in a long time, he's suddenly feeling the coming of death, which used to be part of his character in the beginning of the show when he still had his tendrils in the back of his head, which he hasn't had for a very long time. So I didn't know what that was about. As the away team continues to explore, the Doctor finds himself experiencing the same thing that Saru is experiencing, followed by the same thing happening to Michael. We then get a sort of useless scene between Adira and Tig, where Adira tries to explain how she wishes she were more confident like Detmer, which is weird because when she first showed up, she was a very confident person. And even weirder since she now has all kinds of other people like in her head and should have all the confidence of a person who has all that accumulated knowledge. Like, it's just weird that you would be this wilting violet of a person. Anyway, back on the planet, it turns out that everybody but Detmer is being affected by the dust on the planet because it's getting through the filtering system of their EV suits because the suit doesn't recognize it, and Detmer was the only one who hadn't come into contact with it. Book approaches the Earth Alliance general lady on board Discovery and tries to get her to help him do what he's trying to do because he knows she's sympathetic to the idea of destroying the DMA. Destroying the DMA anyway. She says she'll go along with it, but only as a backup plan if diplomacy fails. But if diplomacy seems to be succeeding, she needs Book to back off, which he agrees to, even though we already know that he can't promise anything because Tarka is a loose frickin' cannon that just does rash crap. The away team back on the planet determines that the species 10C were the type of people to value their young when they discover a nursery. And Michael decides to let the dust back into her suit for some strange reason and seems to experience feelings of love. And then they all do the same thing and they all end up experiencing a feeling of familial love. Apparently, the dust makes you feel different things in different spaces, even if your biology is human or Kelpian or a 10C person. And the crew seems to think it's like pheromones, which, okay, I guess that makes sense. Meanwhile, back in Discovery, Tig finds Tarka. Then the away team gets back on Discovery and talks about the data which they collected, but nobody seems to have told them about Tarka. And the president of Navarre then invites Saru on a walk, a stroll in the holodeck. So maybe they're going to get together after all. Yay. Adira then approaches Detmer to try to casually pick her brain about being more confident because Tig advised her, look, if you want to try to learn from her about how to be confident, don't, go up and say, I want to be you. So she's going to try to be more subtle about it, but she wants to learn to be more like Detmer, which is fine. Detmer's a cool character. I like Detmer. Michael and the Doctor then have a conversation about what they're going to have to do if it turns out that species 10C does in fact know that they're hurting other beings, which they don't think is the case because they seem to be thoughtful beings, but they don't really know. So they're trying to figure out, well, what if they know and they don't care? How are we going to connect with them? How are we going to come to, an understanding? And, Michael just says, oh, well, we have to succeed. Well, of course, we all know this. But now, before the episode ends, we get a scene on Book's ship where he's returning to the ship and greets Tarka, who apparently was able to take Tig hostage when she found him, even though she was standing and he was crouched behind a console at the time. And you would think, okay, well, she's got the drop on him. Your impression when you first see that is, oh, the jig is up. He's screwed. Nope. He was able to turn that around and take her hostage, even though she assumingly has Starfleet combat training and he doesn't. And even though she would have been able, in all likelihood, to yell, intruder alert, security to whatever room I'm in, and have that happen because Zora. Nope. He was able to take her hostage. There was some other dumb stuff that happened in this episode that's not even worth mentioning. I'm sure the writers thought they were being awesome by coming up with this. The dust is like pheromones, and it might be part of the way of how they communicate. And wow, aren't they just swell beings that care about stuff? And this means we can reach them, probably, and we're gonna try to do exactly that in a very hopeful way. But it's just dumb. It's dumb. Like, I don't know. It didn't wow me. It didn't move me. It didn't excite me. It was just very limp and lame and paint by numbers. And this episode seemed to do nothing but fill time to stretch the season out. I didn't care about anything else that happened on it. I thought the whole thing about Book and Tarka infiltrating Discovery was ridiculous. And then in the end, he kidnaps a Starfleet officer who had the drop on him. And it's like, really? It was just horrible. Thankfully, there aren't many episodes left in this season. Unfortunately, we already know there's going to be a season 5 of this show. And at least I think we know that. I think they announced that. But anyway, I'll be back with a review of the next episode. Until then, my friends, peace and long life.